Still some snow outside, but it's springtime. I'm with the Honda CBR650R on the mountain roads, hairpin, opening the throttle, the traction is on. This is so much fun. New bike for 2021. I have a new Euro 5 engine. Actually it's the same old, same power, new suspension which feels plusher, and it's lovely to ride it. It's not as punchy as I remember the CBR, but right now it's more usable and more friendly than any other CBR that I've tested previously. Still a bit chilly. Went off-road with a new CB650R from Honda, the 2021 model. What's changed about it? I'm going to tell you in this episode of Racing and Adventure. The first part that is changed for this model, it's the engine. Well, it looks the same, I think it's the same, but right now it's Euro 5. It produces the same amount of power, but it complies with the emissions regulations. I'm gonna talk about this a bit later, because I have to tell you what's the feeling of this new fine-tuning from Honda. Other than the engine, we have the front suspension, which is a Showa single function fork. A bit plusher, a bit more comfortable than the previous model, because I remember every time I was hitting a pothole, the front fork was bottoming, so the suspension was pretty stiff on the previous model. Right now, the same ergonomy, very small changes to the looks, but it feels better, it rides very good. I went on a trip of around 400 kilometers today, and I have to say, I feel I can do some more. Let's break it down a bit, because this suspension is pretty interesting. It's not adjustable at all, but it does a very good job while riding in the city with bumpy roads, or riding on a mountainside like me today, riding a bit harder. It can comply to any style of riding actually, and it doesn't have that much dive, so it feels very easy to use. It's important because one piston does the rebound and one piston does the compression part. So I think this is manageable as long as they've set it up so good from the start. It's a very good unit, and you have to trust it, because it will offer you a lot of confidence if you want to ride a bit faster. Now let's go back to the engine, because it's important. It's Euro 5, and you still don't get the riding modes, but the engine noise, I think it's a bit softer than the previous model, and the power output, which is very important for a rider like me, it's not delivering as much juice in the mid-range as it used to. But maybe it went a long time since I rode this type of bike. Let's hear the engine first, because I want you guys to hear it and tell me if it's as loud as the previous model. Let me take it out of gear. Electric bike. Although it's Euro 5, let's not pollute the air. What's happening right now? At around the 8,000 RPM you get a lot of power. I think that's the maximum output range, and the bike starts to shiver, starts to vibrate, so it still has the attitude of an inline-4 engine. It's pretty, I think, obvious. If you have a power plant like this, you should rev it up pretty high in order to get the maximum output from this type of engine. What else? You have the shivering of an inline-4, you have the juice at higher RPM. One important thing, the gearbox shifts like magic. Every time you pull the lever, it will do it very fast and easy. You also have a very light to pull clutch, which will help you a lot while riding in the city. Oh, and one important thing, it's a big shame that this bike is not fitted as standard with a quick shifter. You have to pay for it. It's not too expensive, but let's face it, every bike like this should have a quick shifter. Let's talk about the electronics. Man, this happens a lot because Honda changed something over here. The turn lights should be above the horn for the switches, and also for the traction control, to put it off, you have the high beam. Yeah, I don't know, it's changed, but yeah, as said before, traction control, ABS, you have this dash, which is an LCD unit. Not much info over there. You have only the revs, the kilometers, the fuel consumption, and also the gear that you are in. Let's talk about the ergonomy and the riding position, because this Honda, it's pretty comfortable, and after 300 kilometers I can do some more. I like that the handlebar is in close reach, it's raised, so you don't have a hard time while riding. For a tall rider like me, a larger windshield will be just fine for highway use. So let's talk about the steering, because this is a sports bike, so you cannot steer the handlebar that much. So it's not like a naked, it's closer to a race bike, I think. But you can squeeze it very easy in the traffic. It's nimble, the right height for the mirrors, you won't hit any cars, and this makes it a very good commuter. One thing that impressed me is the saddle. It's unlike any other Japanese saddle that I rode on. This one feels pretty plush. There's nothing too fancy about the braking system. It's a Nissin caliper with a Nissin brake pump. It's the same story for the front end and the rear also. You get enough stopping power from this system, but I would wish for a bit more bite from the front end. The tail unit system is different. It's from metal right now, and it has some fins that are facing different directions. It's very helpful because right now you're not getting any more dirt on the rear saddle, on the passenger seat. So I like it. It looks very good. It looks a bit better than the previous model, and it does a very good job. The price tag for this beauty over here, it's 9,000 euros in our market over here. It's not that much, but comparing it to other vehicles on the market like the Aprilia RS 660, which is the closest to this type of machine that you get on the market, I think you get less with a Honda than you get with the Aprilia. So the price difference is not that big, but you still don't have the riding modes, you still don't have the cruise control, you still don't have the quick shifter as standard. So right now we'll have to do a thorough test with both bikes and tell you which one is the best. And before we do the comparison, I have to tell you guys that the CBR650R, it's a very nice to ride bike. It's very user friendly. So if you're a beginner or you're medium and you want to ride a bike which feels reliable and easy to use, and you can spend all the rev range on the highway, also on the twisties, it's pretty important that you get the trust and confidence that the bike can offer. This one does it, and it's like magic. So yeah, I recommend it for any type of rider, even the faster ones.